Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon. This is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. Without further ado, let's bring on the co-host and co-host, and because Jay's not here tonight because he's watching some silly game. I don't know. So, Randy.
Hey, everybody, I'm Randy Zimmerman, editor-in-chief, Arrow Comics, arrowcomics.store. I also have two shows on the Indy Comics Network, Comics by Night, that's on early Friday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, and Sunday Funnies. It's on at 9 a.m. on Sundays, where we talk about great comics and the stuff that inspires us.
And here's the Coco or Co. I don't know. You guys are.
You can be co-host. I'll be Coco.
There you go.
Okay, I've leveled up to the distinction of co-host finally. But hey, everyone. I'm Marcus McNeal, editor-in-chief of Odyssey Comics. Good to come back to the show once again. And if you're weird enough to be skipping the game and hanging out with us, we appreciate you all that much.
There you go. Our first guest tonight. What's up,
Hey,
James?
everybody. How's it going, guys? I am James Burton, Scattered Comics creator for Damage Incorporated.
All right, cool. Next guest. What's up, Grant?
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Grant Lankard, and I have a Kickstarter that's launching tomorrow called League of Cryptids.
Nice.
Hello. My name is Wells Thompson. I'm a comic book writer and professional podcast guest. And yeah, I have a project running as well.
You get paid to be a podcast guest?
You guys get paid?
But you said you were a professional. Hey,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
DP.
I'm the only one that should be getting paid, but I'm not getting paid. So
No one gets paid for this.
It's the passion and the love and everything. What's up, guys? I'm DP Brown. I'm the writer and creator of The Theme of Thieves, one of our Comicsburg books from the area.
Nice.
And I also have a Kickstarter running right now until like next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Nice. All right. Yeah.
I just
so
sent
like
you the link to DP's comic book, if you see.
yes, I got it. Oh, look at this guy. This guy's popping in.
That's my boy Marvin.
Marvin, the comics
Marvin.
bird dude himself. All right, gentlemen. So let me. You all saw the show question. It's pretty simple. Who brought you into indie comic, or what brought you into indie comics? Why do you stay? And I have a third one for it, and I have a third one I added onto it. What do you want from indie comics? Right? What do you want from
Great
indie
question.
comics? And here's the thing. We all know what the polite answer is. I don't want the polite answer. I want your inner voice. I want that voice in the back of your head. Yeah, that's the one I want. We all know that voice, right? So I know that's the hard one. That's the hard one. So let's start with DP.
Hey, what I guess what brought me into indie comics pretty much was getting tired of just the regular run-of-the-mill Marvel and DC stuff. I grew up on like Marvel and DC, especially Marvel style comics. But as I got older, I was wanting more of a robust reading thing and everything. So I started to delve into like different styles, different books. Stuff outside of the normal Marvel DC thing, and it was kind of like foreign to me because I wasn't so used to like their not as polished style as Marvel and DC, but just for the fact of reading different stories that weren't like superhero more or less stories was a more or less refreshing thing. But and it kept me on like the indie range until I got to the point where okay, well, it's an actual place for indie books or comics other than superhero stuff, other than like Marvel DC, to get into like the system, and hence it inspired me to actually start writing my own stuff.
All right. That's cool. So why do you stay?
Why do I stay in the indie comics? Whew. Why do I stay? Because it's a really good. I like the independence of it. I like the freedom of it. As a creator, I like the fact that I get to dictate my own schedule. I like the fact that I get to not have any type of notes sent down to me telling me what to put in my book, what not to put in my book. When I'm reading books, by other indie creators, I like just the newness and stuff. I like the creativity that people just come up with from different types of whatever comes into like their imagination, because there's so many different types of styles and ways and means to actually put stuff out there. I just like the independence of it, so that just keeps me coming back.
Gotcha. Now the tough one. What do you want from Indie Comics?
I want for Indie Comics to have a bigger voice, if that makes any sense. A voice where it's not drowned out by like the main 2 or 3, the top publishers and everything. I want more voices to be heard. At the same time, I also want them to actually make money off what they're putting out, because you don't do these things in a corner. We can't just go and write this stuff and go into a corner and expect everybody to respond to it. So it's a bit of a give and take and everything. And I want more shops to be more in tune with independent creators. Because there's a lot of readers out there. There's a lot of book readers out there that are waiting to try something different than what they're actually reading, and it's comics. So if it's a way to actually bridge more of that gap from like the average novel book reader into coming into like the independent comics, I mean, we need to find a way to further bridge that gap. It's so many readers out there, and it's such an untapped market that I just believe that if we just find a better way to bridge that, it would make independence that much more better for us.
All right, cool. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, as far as notes go, I mean, I thought Marvin was a tyrant. How do you deal with that guy?
Oh, Marvin is a tyrant. I mean, I can't get this guy off my back anytime. Grant, I mean, Grant knows this guy.
All right, cool. James, what are your thoughts?
Some of us weren't meant to be house style hacks. Some of us weren't meant to be storytellers that are just butchering pieces of our souls for other people. That's what it kind of comes down to. If you like to tell stories, you need to tell stories. And I fall into that category. When I was younger and I was coming out in college and doing all those other things and trying to get into comics, the first professional that I got a chance to run into was a house style hack. And he was a freaking prick and decided to sit down and explain to me that artists like James O'Barr and the Turtles and all of those books those are the kind of books that just come and fly by night. And that if my style remained to be in that category, that I wouldn't have any damn future. So I could say that I do all this out of spite, which there's like a little bit of it.
You wouldn't be the first.
But that's not true. I've been telling stories since before I could actually talk, really. My dad figured out that I was a storyteller really early on. He bought me like a roll of newsprint and a chalkboard when I was like 4 years old. Told me to draw him naked women on motorcycles. So I just made stick figures with boobs and put them on motorcycles for him for weeks on end. Then it turned into stories about superheroes and weird stuff. And I'm still making superheroes and weird stuff. That's the whole point of what I do. I need to tell these stories. I need to be able to have that part of my voice heard, and I need to do the art style that makes me happy. I'm not the kind of guy that just does the style that the editors want. So none of that makes me happy. And the entire reason why I do this is to feel like I've got some type of validation, some type of part that taps into who I am. It's a labor of love, and anybody who works in comics that's not doing it because it's a labor of love, in all honesty, they're either retardedly lucky or one of those people that are going to quit.
Comics broke me.
Seriously. It should be titled "Comics Made Me Broke," but
Yeah, there's a dozen long boxes in my garage that probably are saying that right now.
Only a dozen.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't been doing this for very long, have you?
Rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Yeah, I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Grant, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so the first question was
What brought
got
you into
me
indie comics?
I think like most of us, I do indie comic books because Image isn't knocking down my door, or I mean,
You want them to knock down your door, though. Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, mainly, the pandemic was what kind of got me into comic books. I mean, obviously, I had always dreamed of doing this, but out of high school, everybody told me, "Oh, you can't make a living being a comic book artist." So I got a nice, steady office job, and I hated doing that. So I think when the pandemic came along, I figured if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to do it. As far as what keeps me in it, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I would even know what to do with somebody like a work for hire type job. Like if somebody said to me, sit down and write Superman, I would say, Jesus Christ, I'm competing with 70 years of the best writers in comic books, like ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you even begin to write a character like that,
Yeah. From prior experience, not with Superman, but with another property, I would always advise just do it. Seriously, you just got to sometimes jump into it and just do it.
Do it and have fun with it.
Yeah, just have as much fun with it as you can. That's it, man. If you get offered that, if they offer you Batman, you don't say no. You just jump into it. You're like, all right, here it goes. You just do the best you can.
That's how that's supposed to work.
That's what?
That's how that's supposed to work.
Well,
I said no.
Well,
I knew Bob. I did get a proposal onto Bob Schreck's desk, though, that he loved. So that was something. I talked to Schreck for a while at San Diego, and he offered me to do a Batman story, and I felt the same way that Grant felt. Oh, dude, there's so much history with Batman. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do that hasn't already been done? I says, but I'd tell you what I would do, and then I pitched him a proposal that he actually took. So never went any farther than Mike Carlin's desk, but that was his intention anyway. So
gotcha. At least you got to pitch it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good experience.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and a level of respect that I absolutely adore. So, but anyway, sorry.
Wells, what are your thoughts?
All right. So, how did I get into indie comics? I started working with Comic Book Yeti as a reviewer and a review editor, and started reading a lot of indie comics and fell in love with them, particularly like Vault Comics and Image. Coffin Bound is one of my favorite series of all time. And I just fell in love with what you can do with the medium and how interesting it is to tell a story with flat static images, no sound, and just really let like the basics of storytelling guide you with this artistic flair that's really not present in a lot of other mediums. Why do I stay in indie comics? Love of the game, and that's really the only thing. It's hard work. It doesn't pay a lot, but I do love it, and I can't see myself doing anything else. And what do I want out of indie comics, or is it what do I want for indie comics? I have gotten muddled on the question.
You can answer either way. It works both ways.
What I want out of indie comics is, one, to be able to tell the stories that are worming around in my brain, and unless I get an out for them, they're just going to drive me crazy. And two, to never wait another table again. That's my other goal for indie comics. That's what I want out of it. What I want for indie comics is a lot more eyes on people's on people's books, because there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on that people are just not privy to, and there's still a big sort of stop and stigma about, you do comics, I'm not really interested, which is wild, because the same people will say manga I'll read 180 volumes of, but where people draw the lines, I find, are insane, and I think that indie comics needs its time in the sun.
Okay, fair enough. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Okay, what got me into indie comics? I mean, first and foremost, it started when I was a kid, learning that I had some artistic ability that I could develop and draw. I made my first comic at 7 years old. It was a Miami Vice fan fiction. It wasn't very good, but I got into it and I loved it, and I loved the process of it. So almost my entire life, always knew I wanted to make comic books. And I never really entertained much thoughts of working for a Marvel or DC or anything like that. I knew that when I was finally ready to make that leap, it was always going to be indie comics, and it was always going to be having my own thing. So by the time I hit college, my mind was already dead set on someday having a multimedia company, which was centered on comics, and built out from there to be able to do it. So much like what Grant mentioned earlier, the pandemic brought me the opportunity to do things. I was already starting the process of making Odyssey Comics before then, but that gave me more time, and I spent a lot of time in the corporate world. Thankfully, that gave me the financial security to not have to, really put myself out there in terms of the finances and stuff when it comes to doing indie comics. And then also the pandemic put the time in me. So I'm like, okay, there's no barriers and no excuses anymore for why I can't do this. So it's time to nut up or shut up. So that's what I did. And why I keep doing it is I've been fortunate enough in the 2 years we've been doing it so far to have some successes. We have hurdles and roadblocks like every single person in indie comics has to go through, and you take your knocks where you have to and learn from it. But the returns that we're getting are pretty significant. The creators that I have working with me are great. I got a great team now at Odyssey with our creative director and lead editor, and with every week that goes by, I get more and more people wanting to work with Odyssey. So the opportunities that we have in the future, I feel like we already make good comics right now where we can go a year from now, 2 years now, actually even just 2 months from now, maybe even next month, maybe this month, or just constantly leapfrogging over what we can do. So at this point, I see no ceiling in terms of the creativity and the quality of work that we can do. And I want to try really fucking hard to make sure that I realize it. And that's my commitment to not just the teams, but to myself too. And what keeps me going is I see the returns. We still are at the point where we're really young and we're really fresh, and we haven't been doing this for a long time, but we do well enough to keep on doing it. What I want out of it is, I think for me especially, and this is something that I struggle with, we all have that imposter syndrome. Some of us carry it with it for our entire careers, and we always suffer with it. Like, I'm not good enough to do this. I'm not good enough to do that. As I do more things in comics, I'm starting to realize that I can function at a certain capacity that probably 99% of creators can't do. And I can do a number of things that the vast majority of publishers cannot do. Not a lot of publishers can single-handedly letter, color, draw, illustrate, format all the books together, do all the marketing, design all the websites. These are all things, all hats I have to wear within Odyssey. And it not only enriches me, but it lets me know that I can be someone in this industry if I do things the right way. And the creators that I work with, we've already had success of where people were in Odyssey, now they're doing stuff with, the big two and with Marvel and DC and things like that. And that's part of the reason why I kind of started Odyssey. I saw the opportunity to fill a niche in the market to where creators needed a more development-friendly publisher, and a publisher that would give them more leeway and support them and kind of be, we don't do everything. I don't have unlimited finances and things like that, but we try to invest as much as possible in every single team, project, and creator that comes across. Personally, and professionally. And largely we've been successful at doing that. So when I see at the end of the year and I'm doing my taxes and calculating how much I got to give the government, I also have to at the same time realize that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that I put into the pockets of creators and people who get to have careers and do things, and extended a career for myself too. And I try to never lose sight of that, especially when things get tough and deadlines are stacking up, or there's so many things that you need to get in place. That's what keeps me going every day.
All right, cool. Randy, what are your thoughts?
No, you're gonna have to excuse my voice. I'm still under the weather and a little hoarse, but I escaped a very oppressive childhood by reading comics. Every kind of comics I get my hands on, and my parents wouldn't let me have superhero comics when I was a kid because they considered it too violent. So I at the library and knew comics history and all the different types of comics that were out before. I even bought my first superhero book. But why am I doing independent comics? Because I love it. There's nothing like this art form, this combination of words and pictures for a avenue of communication is literally second to none. And anybody with the right amount of training and little touches of talent here and there and the skill can do a competent enough comic to be read. That's why I love this business, is I like to see all of the different types of comics, the different viewpoints, the different aspects of this business. And you're never, as you can see by the white of my beard, you're never too old to learn. You're always learning new things. There's always something more in this business to understand and to grow on and to learn or to pass on to others, why I love doing podcasting and showing off a lot of this stuff that very few people realize are out there. We are with the way this business is, we're in such an enclosed bubble that most of the time before podcasting, we never got beyond our own little region or our own clique. And now we all know that there's people all over, not just the country, but the world, that love this art form. All they have to do is be able to read it and enjoy it. And it all comes down to the entertainment value. And that's what I want to get out of independent comics. I want to be read. I want to entertain people, and in any way or form that I possibly can. And making a living at it is a bonus to me. I do a lot of commercial work where I try to do as much sequential commercial work as possible so that I can get those advertising rates. And I'm able to make the time to do my own stuff and say things the way that I want to say it, or to pitch a property that I want to see out there. And the last couple of years, I've had that opportunity with the return of Arrow Comics to do a lot of that work. So that's why you'll see I've got a lot of number ones out there with a lot of different genres and formats, and been doing it for many, many, many years. And I absolutely love it. Tell everybody that once you get your first book, and it has to be a physical book, it can't be a digital book. It needs to be a physical book. You get that physical book in your hands and you actually feel it, and you read it and you smell it, and you know it gets into your blood, and you know if you're going to be here in this art form, in this media for the rest of your life. And that's the way it works. It's just the way it works. And you can leave it for a while. You can get disgusted with the industry, but you're never going to be disgusted with the art form, because there's always some great book out there that you remember as a kid, or that you remember when you were in college, or at your lowest point in your life, that brought you out of it just long enough for you to get yourself based back in reality again. And that's really why I'm here. Is that a good enough answer?
Oh, yeah.
So I can talk comics all day, man.
Gotcha. To answer my own question, I got in because it's funny growing up, Marvel, DC, the standard stuff, and I got to see my first indie comic. It was Jack Kirby's. Damn it, Randy, you guys are covering it, not Silver Star, the other one, Captain Victory.
Captain Victory,
So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, that was my first indie comic that I ever saw for DC Comics. And I've been hooked on indie books ever since, man. It's just like, I love this stuff, and it's because I was always interested in the things that like Marvel and DC weren't doing, because the stuff they do, it's good stuff, especially when I was growing up. I had Frank Miller, I had Walter Simonson, I had John Byrne, Chris Claremont, I had all those guys, Bill Mantlo, all these great creators. But then it was really interesting to see, these different voices. I got to see Bill Willingham on Elementals, and I got to see Matt Wagner on Mage and Grendel and all these different things. And, it was just one of those things. It was just like, I was like, it's something I want to pursue, because I had been writing my own stories. There you go, Dave Sin. I'd been writing my own stories since I was a little kid, and none of them featured Spider-Man or Thor or any of those things. I was just writing my own stuff, so I wasn't really.
No Miami Vice either.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I wasn't doing Miami Vice either. So yeah,
Miami Mice.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. What is it? Vaughn. Not Bodie.
No, it was Bodie. It was Vaughn's son.
Yeah, his son. Yeah.
Great stuff. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this guy. Here.
Look at who you attract. Yeah.
Look at this guy. Yeah. I don't even know what that means.
The minor.
I think he's talking about foosball.
Yeah, I think so.
That must be it. Yep.
Almost
halftime.
There you go.
What's funny is like I'm here in California. I feel like nobody cares about the Niners. I don't know.
I'm here in Michigan. We care about them, but not the way that you think. We care that they lose, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. So what keeps me staying is I just like creating books. I've been doing it since the early 90s, and I just love creating books. And I'm like, and the thing is it's not just the books, it's the stories, right? So even if I weren't doing comic books, I would still be writing prose. So it doesn't matter one way or the other, I'd still be creating, So even if for some reason I couldn't find an artist, I couldn't afford an artist or whatever, I would just start writing prose. Because originally the Oswald Chronicles was a prose story. It wasn't a comic. And that came in a little later, and just got into that one. And as far as like what I want to get out of the industry, I've been in the game to have every stupid thought you could ever have, right? I've been in it long enough to to have every dumbass thought you could have about it. You want to rule the world, you want to run Marvel, you want to get into the DC, do all that dumb shit, whatever moronic stuff you think you can do, which is never going to happen. I've had that thought. So, but I'm at a point where it's just like, look, I just want to complete my story, and I want to print omnibuses of the story because there's a lot of it, and I would like and sell as many copies of it as I can. And that's basically it. That's where I'm at. I just want to get it to the omnibuy and nice thick hardcovers, and and just move on.
There's nothing wrong with those goals. As a matter of fact, if more people had those goals at that level and weren't thinking with their head up their ass, there'd be a lot less drama in comics and a lot more books being made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bell for you.
Yeah.
Look, I tell a lot of people all the time, it says, if you want to make money, go sell real estate. Go to Wall Street.
Don't make comics.
Don't make comics. That's not what it's here for. I mean, you can make money, but man, it's not easy. Like there's much easier roads to go.
I was going to write the book, How to Make $1 Million in Comics. You go through and you explain the whole industry all the way through the book. The last 2 pages is how do you really make $1 million in comics? Start with $10 million.
Exactly. That's the joke, right? How do you make a small fortune in comics? You start with a big one.
Exactly.
You gotta love it. All right. Well, Randy, do you want to go next, or Marcus?
Do we have any other questions other than what you have above? Why are we here? I mean, that answers that questions everything. So.
Well, no. Well, so we're hold on. Let me do this. There you go, Marcus. You're up.
There we are.
Absolutely. I think I have a great question for the panel, and I would love to hear everybody's opinion because this is something that I think about quite a lot. And I think not very many creators think about this enough. My question to the panel would be, what do you, as a creator, what do you or can you provide to indie comics that's unique in your own way? And it could be stories, it could be your methodology, but I know personally, I'm always trying to think about what can I do that hasn't been done before, or just where can I slide into and see myself not just being successful, but trying to occupy a space or an opportunity or anything like that within indie comics. And it could be for personal reasons, professional, whatever the case may be.
All right, cool. James, you're up.
Not sure if you guys have ever had the same experience I'm about to mention, but there was one day at a con where I was sitting at my table. My partner was barking and trying to sell books. And, well, so was I. And this family was going around, and you could read their body language a little bit. There was a kid at the back of the family. There was like a little boy, 3 other girls, and their parents. And one of these girls was trailing behind them, and she had this like binder full of stuff like up in her chest and looking down, and she didn't want to look up. And the parents were stopping at each one of the tables in Artist Alley. And what they were trying to do was they didn't understand comics or storytelling at all. And they get over to near us. Pardon me, they didn't even get to us before my partner started yelling and barking to get their attention. And when they got to our table, he starts sales pitching one of the books that I had at the table and trying to get the dad's attention. He didn't notice what was going on. He didn't see this artist that was stuck at the back of the family that was trying to get up front but didn't know how to get up front. He didn't see that the parents were trying to ask questions to understand the comics and what to do, and basically try to give their little girl an opening to find a mentor or at least some direction. Every time I went to comics or to a Comic-Con back then, because this was back in like 2014, I kept with me this like little paper sheet of informational points, websites, and all this different stuff. Because man, when I was trying to learn this stuff, when I was a teenager, when I was 12, you couldn't find anything. You couldn't find anything about how to make certain things. If you did not go to the cons and go and ask editors at their tables or go and ask artists at their tables and have a list of questions, you weren't going to learn crap on your own. It's not like now. It's not like there's 40 different YouTube channels and 1,000 different websites to give you at least something to go off of. None of it existed. Nothing. So all we had was how to draw the Marvel way. So I saw the body language of this little girl and kind of ignored what my partner was doing and started asking her questions like directly. And what I had found, which is exactly what I thought it was, is there was this scared artist that did not know where to start. And I started talking to her. And when I started talking to her, it was dead on what was going on. The dad reaches around and he grabs her from behind and just slowly pushes her up to the front, because that's what he was there for. He was there for her. He was finding a path forward for her. And when I started talking to her and I gave her that sheet and I offered her help, I made sure she had my email, made sure she had any questions about it she could ask. I took a look at her drawings and designs, told her, what I really liked about it, stayed away from what needed work. Just trying to encourage her. Be the person that I wanted to find when I was that age. Yeah. All of us are supposed to be the people we were looking for when we were 14 and looking for that other person to give us advice. Yep. Some of us were lucky enough to run into the antithesis of that. Some of us were unlucky enough to have that in our families, squashing us or whatever. But I got to be that person for that little girl for a little while. And I answered a bunch of her questions, which took time to pry out. And eventually she said, "Thank you so much." And she kind of left. Her family goes along with her and they start moving around the con. My partner, and I'll mention why I'm getting into this in just a second, turns to me and goes, "Don't you ever do that again." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, don't you ever, I mean, I had a sale going. I was going to sell all the books to him. And I was like, motherfucker, there's more important things than selling 4 books at a table. You want to sell a couple of books to somebody right then and there. You're barking and you're trying to get attention from other tables. I get it. All of us want to be seen. All of us want to be heard. But if you're going to ignore what I just saw and you're going to ignore what I just did, then you're here for the wrong reasons. You need to take a walk and calm the fuck down. And he did. He took a walk. He still never understood it. And about an hour later, as the con was cooling down and closing, that dad came back and he didn't just buy the 2 copies of the book that my co-creator had. He bought everything on the table. Okay. And the point is art is art. Art is supposed to be something that comes from people that need to do it. And it comes from a lot of different sources in a lot of different mediums, but it's still art. And finding things like that, the validation that comes from helping somebody get farther than you got to go at that age, somebody, just helping them find where their path starts. That right there is reason enough for all the stuff that we do. And in all honesty, I could have not sold another book that day at that table and I wouldn't have cared. I would have been on cloud 9 for the rest of the damn day. And there are reasons that are more than just what we make, which is why we're in Indie Comics. Because guess what? You probably couldn't have done that at one of the image booths. You'd have had a crowd. That little girl would have got lost in that crowd. She would have been a number. She would have disappeared because they were too busy watching what they were doing and doing their pitches every 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Too true. You're right. Yeah, I mean, look, unlike you, I was fortunate. I met Archie Goodwin at an early age. And Archie was a great dude. Fantastic man. But getting on to the question, Grant, what are your thoughts?
Oh, geez, I have to follow that.
That's his
I
thought.
was really hoping it wasn't.
Sorry, I'm a bit passionate.
Grant, do you want me to follow? And then we could go back up, to you.
Yeah.
James, that was such a great story. I mean, James, that was a really inspirational story because, me and Grant, we've done like so many conventions. I've had so many so many situations similar to that. Not as extensive as that, but to the point where you have to really get out of your own head, to JD question and everything. I'm sorry, to Mark's question about artists. You need to get out of your own head and recognize that it's a business, recognize that there's a business portion of this. But also when you're on these cons and actually, you're building relationships with people and at the end of the day, the relationship with a person goes so much, it goes so far and everything. So when we're at cons, at least speaking from my personal experience and everything, majority of time when I have taken time to speak 20 to 30 minutes, talking to a person that really wants to talk to you, about, maybe non-sequitur stuff about comics, that have ended up in sales in the long run, maybe at the end of the Sunday or whatever, when you start out Friday or whatever, they remember you, and sometimes you got to take that time, instead of just pitching, all the time and everything, to actually build that relationship with a person, because you just never know how it's going to come back to you, and also you're giving yourself out to someone who may actually really need that information, that jewel, that, that thing that, that James was saying, to better benefit themselves. So, James, that was really on point. I've had experience just like you, and I'm happy that, creators who actually want to take time with other people, that especially little ones too, that are actually, want to get into like the genre, to the industry, because we all know that it's not a profitable industry. You got to be doing this with a passion, in order for you to actually, get something out of it. But it's a really good get when you get it, You know,
Oh, yeah.
So to inspire that person, they might not actually become a comic artist later down the line. They might actually do something else in art. But to get those juices, creative juices flowing, and actually get that courage up, is such a profound thing. So I mean, just props to you, James. I mean, and anybody else who's run into the same thing. Props, most definitely. All right, Grant.
Yeah, yeah. I think what DP said was good. Like balancing kind of making those sales with having like a human interaction with people, because I have found myself in the past getting to the point where like I get so involved in the sales pitch that I forget, like, these are people on the other side of the table.
Yeah, we've all been there, Grant. You can slip from one point of view into the pessimism at any given moment.
I feel like we've gotten away from the original question. I'm sorry. What was the original question?
The original question is, what do you think as a creator you can provide to the industry that's unique?
I'm just trying to tell the stories that I want to tell. I think sometimes like on these shows, we can get too far into thinking like, okay, this is what we have to do to fix.
We just lost JD. Keep going, Grant.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
He's probably had to step out for a second.
Yeah, I think sometimes on these shows we can get too far into thinking like, okay, this is what we have to do to fix the industry.
Absolutely. Which is nobody's responsibility.
Right. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't know how to fix the industry. I mean, I'm not that arrogant to think that I have any of the solutions. And like you said, that's not my responsibility anyway. So, I mean, I just put out the books that I want to put out, and I hope people like them.
Right. Wells, pardon me, what are you bringing to the table?
To the industry itself, I think I bring a spirit of collaboration that allows artists to produce their best work. My favorite part of making any book, every part is my favorite part when it's happening. When you get a book in your hands, there is, as you mentioned, there's nothing quite like it. But getting new pages and seeing how they have elaborated on what I've asked of them and brought to the story and deepened it and enriched it is the most satisfying part of the whole experience. And getting to, basically tee up something for them to really take home is, I think, a writer's most important job, is just allow your artist to flex as hard as they can. To a reader, I would say I write a story because I think someone needs to hear it. And I know that is already borne out with the book I'm working on right now, Mechaton, which is an all age. I'm not going to do a full pitch, but it's an all ages book. I have a middle school teacher, one of my friends, and one of her students has troubles at home, has a lot of anger problems. She gave him my book to placate him for a second, and he started drawing over the book with the paper to try and learn how to do Fernando's style, the artist. He read the book so much the staples almost came out. She had to buy additional copies to make sure there were fresh ones there. And when issues 4 and 5 came out, she told him, and he lost his mind because he was happy that there was more story. So I have a bunch of other cute stories that I from conventions of similar things, of kids just getting excited over the book. And so I think, even if I can't quantify all the time exactly what it is I'm bringing, I know that my stories have a lot of meaning for the people who read them. So that really keeps me going for a lot of it.
Cool. Marcus, you want to answer?
Got a message from JD. He says his system froze up, so the inmates are running the asylum right now.
Yeah. They are. Marcus, you want to answer your own question?
Yeah, I've had similar experiences to what James detailed. I think, sure enough, every single con that I go to, I tend to get an experience or someone like that. I'm starting to feel like almost like the people gravitate towards me because I have a very different presence at my table. I'm usually not barking at people. I'm an excellent reader of character and body language. I can tell when the person is interested and not waste a lot of time and energy talking to people who I have to twist their arm into buying a $5 book. That's not the way I like doing business. And I generally don't really even like selling books in that way because it's probably going to end up in the garbage, when they take it home or something like that. I want to sell people comics to people that actually want them and then value them. And it's the same sort of situation. Like a girl and her friend group were at the table. They were checking things out. They really liked what they see. And one of the girls asked me if, we take submissions from artists. And I said, yes, everything that we do is open submissions. It's all creator owned. We take submissions 24/7, 365. And they all turned and looked at this one girl that was in the group and were like pushing her to the front and saying like, talk to him. And, I got to talk to her a little bit, but I could see from her attitude and just her approach is that she's very shy. She's very insular and she's very uncomfortable even talking about her artwork too much. And of course, come to find out, her family isn't supportive of her being an artist or anything like that. Didn't really get to the nitty gritty of any details, but you can tell from a person, especially if you are from a rough home, that person is probably also from a rough home. And finally convinced her to show me on her phone the artwork and things like that she needed. And it was quite good, especially for the level of experience that she had. And, she was trying to be almost apologetic and like, I'm not really an artist. I'm not really this. And I was like, wait, stop. Do you make art? Yes or no? And she was like, yes. I'm like, then you're an artist. Done. Period. And you deserve to give yourself opportunities to do that.
There you go.
And there's kids that need to hear that.
Yeah, and she started crying like
so badly.
Yeah. It is clear that nobody's ever told her that in that regard before.
Yep.
And everything that we do at Odyssey is, I take open submissions. We do everything creator owned because I'm always trying to find that person. Our whole ethos as a company is to find the people who are trying to break into this thing, who are trying to do stuff, and give them the support that they probably wouldn't get anywhere. They just 9 times out of 10 you won't get a response from the publisher, let alone will you get them. Here's a budget for your project. My project has a budget. What? You're going to do the marketing? You're going to fulfill the Kickstarter? Can I get this cover artist? Yeah, I'll go talk to him. I'll see if we can commission. Okay, they agreed to it. We got that cover artist. Just try to open those doors as much as possible. And I can't do it for everybody. I'm not running a chair. Do we bring in enough money to, but we always put the best foot forward and we always try to do that. So I think in terms of the industry and where I want to go or what sort of little nook for myself I want to provide, I think it's that because I think I came into things a little bit differently because initially when I went to college, I wanted to be an art teacher is what I want to do. My mind has always been really on teaching or instruction of that some sort. And every time that I'm somewhere, whether it's professionally or in education, I'm always put in a position too by others. By my teachers are usually pushing me to teach others. So I was always that nerd, that was leading the groups at the end of the class or, teaching people Shakespeare after class and tutoring and things like that. I've always come in from trying to help people achieve what they want to do and be the best versions of themselves. And I think that's, the opportunity for me is to take people who have the talent, who have the stories, who deserve the support, bring that level of production value and quality that you would get from Marvel or DC on the small sales, and also see the creators grow. Like I know one of our writers, Nathaniel, who did Ubies with us. We're working on number 2 right now. I brought him to his first con he'd ever been to, and gave him the first opportunity to work a table. And now if he's along with God, he can hold it down. I could go leave and fuck off and go do something. And he's making sales and he's pitching his book. And, even when it comes down to the creative part, he can self-edit now because we've had this back and forth and he's grown as a creator. And when I see that, man, I can't help but to feel good about it. It's like watching children grow up before your eyes in a way, almost on this micro scale. And when times get tough and I get tired of doing things sometimes, there's always something going on, like those little nuggets and those little glimpses into what people are doing. That's the thing that sort of keeps me going. I know that's one part of this that'll never die for me and never get old, and I'll never get sick of seeing it. And it's always going to re-energize me a little bit.
All right, cool.
JD, welcome back to the show. Glad you're
Sorry, but I had to commandeer Daphne's system because, you know, she's the one with the really good computer. So my computer is just like, fuck you, I ain't working.
Do you have a cat, and did he do something?
Yeah, really.
I do have a cat. I have a parrot and 2 parakeets, and the cat is always doing something. So, you know, it's just but yeah, no, he's that had nothing to do with it. My system is just I've been promising myself to buy a separate system to just stream, and of course I just, you know, keep forgetting to buy the other system. So, you know, so there you go. Yep. So Marcus, what was the question one more time?
What do you bring to the table?
I usually ham.
That's a great way to surmise it.
Usually ham, sometimes cheese. But you know,
Jeez.
I feel like snacks are often undervalued at a
quite often. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Marcus. What was the question again?
Yeah. What do you bring to the table for indie comics? Like, what's your thing that's going to ingrain yourself into it?
You know, I mean, the one key thing I would bring to the table, just trying to be the best me that I can at any given time when it comes down to doing comics. You know, just trying. I don't know if I'm making the best comics I can make, but I'm trying to make the best comics I can make. And sometimes I feel that, you know, I see a lot of people out there talk and they want to be the best, but they're not really putting in the work to be the best. And that's the thing. You got to put in that work because it's difficult. We all know how hard it is. It's not easy to make comics. I respect everyone who puts out a comic book because it's not easy. You understand? But just because you put out a comic doesn't mean it's the best you can do. You have to strive to do better every time, you know? And I mean, it could be the smallest things. I mean, you can have everything down pat and your lettering can still suck, right? You could write the best story, have the greatest artwork, and you go look at the lettering, you can't read it for crap. You know, I've seen books professionally printed from big publishers where I'm like, they have these huge word balloons and they have this tiny microtext in the balloon. And I'm like, dude, I'm blind enough. You know, I don't need to. You got all this space in there. It's just a couple of a couple of points extra would have made the difference. Yeah. You know, so sometimes that's what I think it is. It's just the constant analyzing of my own work, of what I'm trying to do. I'm literally today, I just sat down for like 4 hours going through an older story and re-editing that story. It's a prose story that I'm going to be reprinting that's for my next Kickstarter. I'm putting out a trade paperback, and it's a story that I originally printed in prose, and I made it into a comic book. So I'm going to do the comic, and I'm going to do the prose in the trade. So you can have in the back of the book, you'll have the prose story to go along with it. But I sat down for like 4 hours going through re-edit, and I'm not done. You know, I'm going to go over it again. And I'm going to go over it at least 2 more times, maybe 3 more times. And I'm not the only one. I'm going to have a couple other people go over it as well. So it's one of those things where you have to constantly try to, you know, up your game every time. And I mean, it's not easy, but you got to do it. And I think that's the only thing I can honestly say I bring to the table other than ham.
And of course, you do this too. Which
I do this. You
shouldn't overlook, because, you know, I always give credit to JD, because when I started in comics, JD was one of the first people to ever reach out to me to bring me on one of these shows and do something. And I always find it like the people who open doors, like, you don't have to fucking kick them down. Like, you know how things go in this industry sometimes. Those are the people that they never steer you wrong, man. And they can never disappoint you, because it's like, you know, there's something intrinsic in a person that creates a platform like this to bring people together and let us find camaraderie and promote our stuff. You know, especially in industry, we don't have thousands of dollars to spend on ads. Some of us our faces buried in pages, man. We don't get a chance to go out a whole lot and do promotions or go to a lot of cons. This is sometimes the next best thing that we get, and also gets to polish our social skills a little bit more, get us comfortable talking to other creators and pitching at tables and things like that. So I think
this is true.
It's a great service, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what? It says we're all a damaged lot. So for that, we're going to bring on Damage Inc.
Oh,
look at this. Now,
Damage Inc. You want to play the video?
Yeah, I'm going to play the video. I'm on Daphne's system.
Okay.
Her system is different than mine. Hers should work properly.
Oh, we might actually get to see it this time. Cool.
Huh?
I said we might actually get to see the video this time. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Now it is also here.
Hey, my friends, this is James Burton, creator from Scattered Comics, and I am bringing another.
Now, did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Another
Sounds
issue
good.
of Damage Incorporated right back to Kickstarter. Now, Damage Incorporated, as usual, is filled with all kinds of supernatural butt-kicking action and all the banter and smack talk that everybody loves to hear from the characters. One of the differences, though, is in this particular issue, we had some fan feedback where they wanted to see some character development. They wanted to see some more in-depth stories. So this is going to be the first part of a multi-part story facing the villainess known as the Goblin Queen. The Goblin Queen is a supernatural immortal. We created her basically on a contest that we had in the comic book, where one of the fans got to help us create this character and flesh it out and enjoy what we had created. Jeff Aragon, the writer who's helped me with the issue, took that and pushed it a little bit farther. And we've got an immortal that is going to go to unknown lengths to be able to do what they're out to do. So the book is filled with all kinds of serious supernatural butt-kickery awesomeness. It's also filled with character development, a three-dimensional villain, and a whole lot of fun. I am super excited. I really managed to push myself making this issue. I got help from Jeff Aragon to make it even better, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. So come and check out these 40 pages of awesome. Let me know what you think. Back that sucker and help us get this issue done. Help me build that legacy that I'm always trying to build, and enjoy.
But kickery awesomeness is always a good quality to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites. I do think I need to splice some more art inside of that, though.
Well,
I had so much trouble making that video.
It does take a little bit of practice. What program are you using?
I'm using DaVinci.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with it. But yeah, but any editing program takes a while to figure out. But you know, you just got to work at it.
Yep.
So James, talk us through this. What are we looking at?
All right, Damage Inc. is a story about friends who started a club to hunt down monsters for bounties. They hunt down things like supernatural creatures and superpowered metahumans, anything where the state says, hey, this thing is dangerous, go get it, go kill it, go bring it back in. So basically, they're kind of like biker nerds that kind of get out of control because they're morons, and every single time they go out, it turns into a gunfight or an explosion.
Cool.
Which is part of the fun.
Nice. So this set is issues 1 and 2. How many issues do you see? Is it a limited series, ongoing? What are you looking at?
So right now we have the first volume, which is issues 1 through 4. After the pandemic, I couldn't. I'm one of those people with the compromised immune system, so I couldn't go anywhere or do anything. So I just focused on work and focused on making issues behind the scenes. Now I have these two in the new volume. The story about the Goblin Queen is called The War of the Lost Daughters, and it's going to go on for about 4 issues where it's going to get escalated until one of the main characters, Sarah, and the Goblin Queen are basically head-to-head, and right now they're both headed the same direction and trying to destroy the town. And they're going to basically turn it into a war, and then we're going to settle it over the course of about 4 issues. Damage itself, it's basically ongoing for me, but like most indie books, I try to treat it like Hellboy, where you do a series or a story. You may have other projects to do after that. I do a lot of anthologies with Orange Cone, stuff like that. and then you come back to it later.
All right, cool. Very nice. Just scrolling through. Okay.
That's it, Jeff Aragon. This is his first whole book that he's done by himself as a writer.
Mhm.
And he's a really good friend of mine that I've known for a really long time. And he's pushed me to do and volunteer myself into more comic projects. And so now I'm doing the same for him. I'm giving him a chance to write a book and trying to bring him along with it as well. He stopped me from quitting books and kind of getting through them and staying on task, and has always been a really good supporter. So I'm trying to be that same for him.
Very nice. Very nice. Cool. I mean, listen, man, it looks like a really good book. Looks awesome. So, I mean, okay, so what do we got here? I was just looking. All right. So you got 26 days, you got 25 backers. You have 796. So yeah, I think you're on your way.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm happy with where we're at. We got plenty of days left across the dead zone, as well as get up to that final percentage.
Mhm.
And I keep getting messages from backers and answering their questions. I'm going to be putting up a couple new rewards this week, a little bit later on. I had to increase some original art tiers for people who were asking questions. And we're in the middle of making some others that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet because I want to keep testing. But I'm also, in this one, I'm super excited because the book that I'm going to be doing after Damage is called The Ballad of Nod. And I got these Ashkins that is one of the rewards. And it's going to be the first time anything from The Ballad of the Nod's ever seen print anyway.
Cool. All right, nice. All right, hold on. Let me just. Okay, I'm lost again. Where am I?
We don't blame you. We're patient, JD.
Yeah, I would hope so, because like I said, I'm completely gone.
At least you're not trying to host it on your phone.
This is true. I should be. Oh, I know why. This one. No. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that, guys.
Randy, I'm jealous of your spinner rack.
Who? Randy is the one with their spinner rack.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Voice is going. Yeah, had that offered to me by a retailer. Called me up and says, "Hey, I got a spinner rack. Do you?" And I went, "Yes." So it's got that authentic squeak to it too when you turn it. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
I miss that grocery store experience.
Right.
Yeah, and when I told Scott Rosema that I had it, he goes, "Oh, does it squeak?" Because that's how my mom would know I was at the comic rack. She'd hear that squeak when we were at the grocery store. Yeah,
nice,
great stuff.
All right, so here we are. Grant, what do we got here, brother?
Oh, I love
Grant?
the title.
League of Cryptids, Frogs to Loveland.
Sorry, I had the mute on.
That's all right.
Yeah, the name of the comic book is League of Cryptids, Frogs Go to Loveland. Basically, the premise of this comic book is Sasquatch, Mothman, Jersey Devil, the Loch Ness Monster, and Chupacabra team up to fight an alien invasion.
Cool. And is it a one-shot, or are we looking at a multiple series?
This is a 4-issue miniseries.
Cool.
This is issue 1 of a 4-part story. And the story behind Frogs Go to Loveland is that the aliens that they're battling are based on another cryptid, which is called the Loveland Frogmen.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Well, I think I'm sold on premise alone.
Yeah, I like it. So,
If I may, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, I missed it. You said this was a one shot, or was this a limited series?
No, this is a four-part story.
4-part story. Okay, gotcha. Cool. And I mean, because I know you have your other series going out with Comicsburg. Are you looking to do the same thing with this as well?
Yeah, I just sent out issue 6 of Beowulf. Everybody, I think well, I think I sent out the last one on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be still a couple people who haven't gotten it yet, but they should all have gotten issue 6 because that was a 6-part storyline, and hopefully that'll be out in trade paperbacks later this year.
All right, cool. Now you got 119 followers. You said you're launching tomorrow.
Yes,
What time?
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Okay, cool. Nice. How many days are you giving yourself to fund?
I usually this is going to be about 45 days, which is usually about where that's my comfort zone. Like 60 days is a little bit too much. I feel like people start thinking like, oh, I've got all this time to back this book, but 30 days isn't quite enough time for me. So I think 45 is like the perfect amount.
Okay. Good for you, man. I mean, dude, I'm at a point, I'm at 21 days and I'm like, that's driving me crazy. It's like, that's taking too long.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. I think our last couple have been 21 days. I'm like, man, can I cut it to 14?
So what is it? Is it just the fact that you feel like the need to like get on your phone and refresh the site like every 5 minutes?
There's partially to that, but also it's partially I'm just sitting on a lot of content. You know, I'm sitting on like 12, 13 campaigns.
Okay.
You know, like I could just launch and it's just, you know, and it's killing me. I'm like, oh, I just want to move on.
I think eventually I'm going to get to that point. The reason why I do more than a 30-day Kickstarter is if I do a 30-day Kickstarter, I can't take any days off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When I do a 45-day Kickstarter, I don't take a lot of days off, but I do take the occasional one.
Right. You got a little wiggle room in there.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Man, it looks awesome.
Thanks.
Here's a question. Image. Yeah, here's another question for you. How much of the book is done?
100%.
Nice. Good job.
I'm about halfway through issue 2, actually.
Mm-hmm. Good job. All right.
And
nice.
I will say too, Grant, the shortness of campaigns comes along with the audience too. You know, JD does a lot of Oswald. You'll see a lot of times he'll drop an Oswald. That thing's funded, you know, ready to go, usually in the first few days. And we should, like, honestly, we typically get all of our backers come back and just back whatever we drop. So usually we get all of our funding that we're going to get in like the first week or 2 of the campaign. And then everything from there on is just
the more consistent you are with what you do with your followers, the easier it is to maintain that like 2-week kind of schedule. I know with me, I've done a couple shorter campaigns because I was trying to wake up my readership because like I said, during the pandemic, it got quiet. But definitely the more consistent you guys are, the better that works.
Yeah. I mean, I finished a campaign 2 weeks ago. I'm hoping to get my shipment of books from the printer this week, ship the following week. Well, ship within that weekend, like 3 or 4 days. And the following week I'll be launching again. So yeah, it's
never stops.
Never stops. I'm on the hamster wheel, bro.
Yeah.
I'm on the hamster wheel. All right. So now we got some mecha action. So Wells, what do we have here, man?
Yeah, this is Mechaton. This is our sci-fi action comedy about a glove that turns anything it punches into a mech. The brother and sister that discover it, the single brain cell that they share, and the kaiju shenanigans that they find themselves in. It's a lot of fun. It's the full first arc, 108 pages, detailing how they find the glove, how they slowly discover how it works, and the sort of forces that they have to contend with, whether it's giant kaiju seemingly coming out of nowhere to destroy the town, or greedy pizza parlor owners that want to use the ability to turn into a robot to turn Derek into a walking billboard. There's a lot of different forces at play, but the vibe of the comic is very friendship and community oriented, with the main characters learning to rely on each other to sort of get through harrowing situations.
Cool.
It looks like it's got a very Saturday morning cartoon kind of visual.
Yeah, we
vibe.
wanted to make something that a kid could, not specifically for kids, but that a kid could read and it wouldn't feel like they were being talked down to. And I know a lot of kids that really like it for that reason. But it was made at heart to be sort of a combination of a love letter to things that we really love, like anime like Gurren Lagann, the stuff that came on Toonami when I was a kid, from Dragon Ball Z to a bunch of other obscure stuff I was watching way too late at night, and also the really high quality children's animation that's coming out a little bit more recently, from Ben 10 and Teen Titans to She-Ra and Voltron and stuff like that. It's sort of a celebration of all of it.
All right, cool. So this is a trade you're putting out, right?
Yes. First 5 issues are done. All the art is completed. This is in a trade paperback, and there's different options for how much back matter that you want. So if you want to get into like process and see a bunch of never before seen pages and concepts and all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, there's a deluxe version for that, but there's also the standard version for people who just want to read the story and experience it for the first time.
All right, cool. I mean, it looks really nice, man. I really like it. Let me see. Comics Wellspring.
Yep. They, in my experience, make the best books. We wanted to make this was our first book that we ever brought to Kickstarter, Mechaton #1, and we really agonized over getting the details right. We didn't want people to get a book that, to JD's point earlier, looked good and the art was great and the story was pretty good, but the lettering was bad, or even just down to like the details of like the pages stick together and don't feel very good. So we really went out of our way to find the best printer possible, make sure we're shipping in the best way possible. We use Gemini mailers to make sure nothing gets chewed up in transit, because I love the post office, but man, have they destroyed some packages.
Yeah, they will do that.
We take care of it from the moment that we think it up to the moment it gets into your hands. We are thinking about what the experience is going to be like at that tail end.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, you're at 1780. You got 62 backers. You got 23 days to go. So I think you're well on your way. I mean, it's a great looking book.
Absolutely. I mean, I have no doubt we're going to get there. I want it in everyone's hands. So I'll never be satisfied, but I am deeply grateful for everyone that has joined us so far. And I hope everyone wants or gives it a shot. It's a great book. It's a lot of fun. It's really funny. I write it along with one of my good friends, Dalton Shannon, and he is the funniest person on the planet. So I really think that this book has something for everyone.
All right, cool. Like I said, it looks great, man. I love it. I mean, It looks fantastic, man. All right, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is really cool. All right, now let's. All right. Now we got time for thieves.
All right, I'm up to bat with 12 days to go.
You want me to play this video?
Yeah, go ahead and play the video.
Okay.
I really enjoyed these 3 comics here. It wasn't what I was expecting. It's definitely a very heavy storyline.
My name is DP Brown, and I'm the creator and the writer of The Theme of Thieves. I'm from Cleveland. Look, I love comics, and I created a time-traveling adventure that will teach as well as entertain you. The Theme of Thieves is about 2 teens, Rebecca and Jason, and a mysterious being called the Man in the Red Suit, who travel through time to try to solve the mystery of why people are disappearing in the present. So when the Kickstarter is done, I plan to finish the artwork for the issue, do a small print run for all my backers, make the exclusive metal items and stickers for the campaign, and also put funds towards making issue 5. I want to thank everyone in advance who made it this far in the video, but don't take my word for it. Here are some others who checked out The Theme of Thieves.
It's a great book. I can't wait to see what DP has for the rest of the series.
Theme of Thieves is great, and I'm curious to see where this goes, see how these characters change and evolve, and what the mysteries are unfolding, because there's still a lot to be uncovered of why people are disappearing.
And all of those Crazy Man scenes are always really well done. Guys, I really, really dig those sequences. But what changes with those sequences is the way that I interpret that character in the story. No, this dude is just being thrown around and doesn't understand it either, which I like. It's like a whole different phase of the character I did not know was going to happen. You took me by surprise, DP. You took me, and now you got me.
Here's what I need you guys to do. Go to the story section in this Kickstarter. There's a preview to my comic. If you like what you see, make the pledge.
Cool. Very nice. So DP, what are we looking at here? What do we have?
DP, you're muted. You need to unmute that guy.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But I use StreamYard too, so I keep forgetting about that. All right, so yeah, it's a Comicsburg book. So The Theme of Thieves, we're on issue 4. So this will be my 4th Kickstarter for this particular project. And here we have like the cover to issue 4. It takes place in like the Salem witch trials, I should say. So I'm not going to reveal too much about that, because the first 3 issues where it takes you on like the time travel mystery, where we start building characters with, like I said, like in the video, Rebecca and Jason, we start getting like their insights as far as like who they are. They're coming of age. They're 16 years old. And then this mysterious guy in a red suit comes and, jerks them through time, and they start going on through their time travel hijinks. I'm very inspired by Lost, Quantum Leap, The Wire. So that's every time I'm pitching stuff, I'm always telling people what I love. Those are like 3 of my favorite TV shows, and I decided to put them into like, comic book form. So here you're seeing like the first issue where some crazy, things start happening in the first, 5 or 6 pages. Slave master right here is getting his slave and sort of like, doing some interesting stuff, and then all of a sudden, his slave just randomly disappears. And this disappearing thing is called evanescence. It's been happening since like the 1800s, and this is sort of like the first instance of when it started. Okay, so the Theme of Thieves sort of like deals with a society that has to deal with people randomly disappearing. How do people deal with that in politics, religion, race, family, issues and everything, and how just society adjusts to that. Here we have Jason, he's talking with his dad. This is sort of like a flashback here, but they're involved in like, some different aspects. He's basically just teaching them about life. And this is Jason in the present, where he's at a party, he's being bullied. I sort of like go into that. And he's going through his trials and coming of age stuff, happen to go to his first party, and his first party ends up being like just a crazy, I keep on saying crazy, but just crazy situations going on. And then finally, by the time the 3rd issue happens, we get our man in the red suit who finally, jumps through time into like the present. Okay. So with all our returning guests, we have like the 4th issue. So if you supported my first few projects, thank you, appreciate you. You'll get the 4th issue where things start actually, the plot start, moving forward. We did our character building, like, with the first 3 issues. The plot starts thickening and going forward with like the 4th, issue. And there's Rebecca and the mysterious guy in a red suit finally coming into like the present, and they're sort of like having a little bit of tug of war. They're at odds there. So I got some really good stuff in the Kickstarter. I have like, you know, metal prints of like the covers. So if you're liking what you see as far as like, you know, the covers and everything, you get to see like the you get to actually get the metal prints in the project. And, you know, like he's showing here, everyone who if you're into like, you know, Watchmen, The Wire, Quantum Leap, you know, Dark Knight, those are like my inspirations. You'll definitely, you know, love, you know, the Theme of Thieves. Those are like the covers right there. Giving everyone an instance of what the fourth book actually looked like. 28 pages. It's digital copies available as well. I have stickers for everyone who gets like a print, you know, copy of the issues. So any physical, you know, copies, you'll get a print. Up, you're seeing like Beowulf right there. So there's Grant's book. So when we have a stretch goal, if we reach 2,000, everyone who's backing will get a digital copy of the first issue of Beowulf and Marvin Wins the Edge. Comicsburg is still in the building, people.
Nice.
And then I'm doing like, you know, metal bookmarks and stuff. So if we reach a certain 2,500, then everyone who get who does physical stuff will get a metal bookmark and stuff too.
Nice. Now this is for issue 4, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, cool. Now, how, if you don't mind me asking, how long do you expect the series to run?
The thing I have in mind is 24 issues. It's a lofty goal, and I hope to even get that far. You know, but I've got like, you know, scripts in mind, you know, outline and plot outlines in line, and we'll see how it goes. It really depends on how the feedback goes. I'm putting my stuff out there. I'm having certain success so far, and you know, so long as the audience is there, I'll keep writing it. You know, I do have an ending, you know, plan in mind, and that's where I'm pretty much going to settle. So if I'm fortunate enough to get that far, then you know, then it's going to go there.
All right, cool. I mean, look, you've already done what, 5 other campaigns?
Yeah, I've done 4. You know, the Theme of Thieves. I've done a 5th campaign called the Sammy and Sissy's Protecting People. That was actually my very first children's book campaign. So, you know, I write children's books as well, and I have a second children's book coming out in spring. So I'll be doing that as well.
Cool. Now, what type of frequency are you releasing the books? Are you doing biannually, quarterly?
So the Kickstarters I'm trying to do like 1 to 2 a year. The books, now that I'm on the 4th issue, we're actually in the stores I've actually got my book released nationwide in stores February 21st. So the very first issue is actually going to be released actually in stores on the 21st. So we're going to do quarterly as far as that.
Okay, cool. Very nice. All right, cool. I mean, you got what, 12 days ago, you're 1177, you got 45 backers. I think you're on your way. Let's see.
Yeah. So if you like it, go ahead and check it out, you know, make that pledge.
No, definitely. It's very, very nice. Okay.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm on Daphne's thing and I'm bugging out. All right, although her system is a lot faster than mine. God, I gotta get in the computer. Phantasmic. Marvin. Marcus
is muted.
Marcus is muted. Okay. Well, while Marcus is
there
muted,
we go.
Oh, there you go.
I was about to say, don't boot me out yet, please. Not before I make my pitch.
We were like, oh, he's done. Okay, that guy.
Look, I'm just going to read the synopsis off the Kickstarter page because I already wrote it and I've been formatting comics all day, so my brain is like kaput. But Phantasmic is a story from writer Jeffrey Matuza and artist Walter Giovanni of Red Sonja fame. It follows the story of Kit. She's a gifted comic artist whose life takes a surreal turn when the characters she creates come to life, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. As Kit grapples with the horrifying consequences of her creations manifesting in the real world, she must unravel the mystery behind this phantasmagorical phenomenon before it consumes her completely. This is going to be the first issue in 5 that we have. We got a superstar roster on the team. And I don't like using that word a lot, but this is really true for this one. It's a great squad. We are funded, as you see already. We're going to be ending in about 35 hours here. So this is kind of everyone's last call before the house lights come up to get in on the book before we close the campaign and get the opportunity to get on some exclusives like Hollow Foils and Virgin Prints that won't be offered in future campaigns. They're going to be unique to the launch campaign here.
Very nice. Now, how many issues is this series going to be?
5 issues.
5 issues. Okay, cool. And again, what's the rate of frequency you guys are looking at?
Rate of frequency, I got a nice big open spot towards the back half of this year, hopefully around fall, where number 2 will be coming out. Jeff's got the script done already. We'll have some back and forths on the editing, but we're going to try to look to get Walter locked down and get started on art as quickly as we can.
All right, cool. Now, how did you manage to get a Jock cover?
I asked him.
That cover is sick.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's a fair answer. I mean, did he make you wait a long time? Was he really? Because listen, I've heard horror stories. You ask some dude who's worked at Marvel in DC. I use finger quotes for professional, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I'll do your cover for you." It takes 2 years to get it. I mean, was he? Did he? What was that interaction like?
He all the team has been amazing on this book. True professionals. I reached out to them. We had a couple of back and forths, just catching up, and we were moving around a little bit. But when we got to the nit of it, I mean, you should have seen the number of thumbnails he gave me back within probably like a week after we agreed to get it done. He gave me so many different looks. Actually, the prompt that we gave him was different than what we see right here. He came back with this one. And I was just like, I want that. Let's go in this direction and put it down. Then he had it fully colored and back to us probably, I think the whole thing was less than 3 weeks total. So it was really fast.
Well, it's gorgeous, dude.
Yeah, it's a good looking cover, man.
Nice.
I really like
Very
it.
nice.
And we got Geraldo Borges from Dick Tracy on the main cover. We got Zu Orzu of Grimm, Rogan Gambit, Superman. She came in with the cover C variant. She also did an awesome job with that one. And this was our giveaway we were doing. We put the backers that won. That was our free creator series that we were giving out. I'm trying to do one giveaway every campaign. I think that especially comes in handy after you've done 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. It starts to get hard finding things that you can do to really reward those early backers. You can only do so many early bird tiers until they're just like whatever. So in most of pretty much all the campaigns we'll be doing one exclusive creator series giveaway that fans can get. And those are something that typically we do internally with Odyssey. We started off on it earlier last year, I think, with When the World Ended, offering just the creators on the project almost like a commemorative version of the book as their comps. So it's something special that they can get and they can hold on to. And then I thought, hey, that'd be cool to roll that out for everyone else and they can get a special copy. So only like 20 of these will ever be produced. And the only way you can get them is to be a creator on the project and to win in the giveaway sweepstakes.
Oh, nice. Now, I mean, how many titles have you guys printed so far? We see a bunch of them here. UV's Little Deaths.
And this ain't even all of them. Some I left off the list simply because it's hard once you start getting everything packaged together. So I tried to hew it more towards the titles that I thought people who are interested in Fantasmic would also be interested here. I think Fantasmic marks our 13th title.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have 14 and 15 coming up here shortly.
Okay. So you're looking at a monthly release schedule every 6 weeks
for Kickstarters?
Yeah.
God, yeah, something like that. I'll take a little bit of time off because I just got Nobody's Princess 3 back from the printers. So I'm going to kick off this one. We got pretty simple fulfillment with this. So I'm just going to, I got some time away. I'm going to be in Chicago visiting family for a little while. So I'm going to knock out the fulfillment, get that done. Reload, and then our next one coming up is going to be Planet Pumpkin, which we were able to give a preview for in Critical Mass, and also include with the Nobody's Princess campaign that we did, and that'll be the next one coming out.
All right, cool.
So probably later this month, we'll be launching another one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're 36 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you got another day and a half. All right, nice. Randy, did you get my message?
You sent me a message.
Yeah, I put in a private chat. Send me your link again.
Just russleach.com.
All right, you got to make me work, Randy.
I'm going to make you work. No, I can send it.
I got it. Yeah, see, I can type. All right. Hold on. It's just that all the stuff from when I was on my computer, like.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Just do this real quick.
Well, I've been busy doing some commercial work and some short story work. And in the midst of all that, I got into a conversation with Russ Leach, who I have on my shows on Friday and Saturday morning. He's an artist out of Great Britain who's done work for Doctor Who and Ben 10 and Batman for the European market. Said he always wanted to do a barbarian story. So I said, well, some of that Robert E. Howard stuff is in public domain. And he said, well, cool, pick one. Let's go. So what we did is we went back to the very first Robert E. Howard sword and sorcery story. It's recognized as the first story that started the genre here in America, called The Shadow Kingdom. And we've adapted that to comics. And it's worked out to be a 69-page graphic novel. The book itself is going to end up being close to 100 pages because we're going to run the prose story in the back. It's a totally faithful adaptation of the story. And if you want to sign up for news on that, to go over to russleach.com and sign up for his newsletter. He only kicks one out about once a month, but it'll keep you all informed. The campaign's going to start the 1st of March over at fundmycomic.com. It's going to be an Arrow comic, actually an Arrow book. It's going to be a square-bound graphic novel. The artwork on it is completely done. Colors are done. And in fact, I'm lettering it now. And we were able to take the short story prose and break it down into comic pages that Russ has illustrated, penciled, inked, and colored. And it's a great story. It is a story about a young king, Kull, who has become king of Valusia, just taken over his kingdom, and he finds out there's a conspiracy to take over the kingdom by a race of shape-shifting lizard people. Mm-hmm. And it's just the rawest, great barbarian tale that you can imagine. It's got all the elements in it that you would expect in a sword and sorcery story. The artwork's phenomenal. I'm just having the time of my life going through trying to letter everything. We're trying to keep as much prose as of Howard's in the story, but of course we're in a show don't tell medium. So I'm having a blast going through, and blast by me I mean crazy amount of work, trying to go through and keep that balance between story and pictures. And it's just turning out to be an absolute joy. It's really the best work that Russ has ever done in his long, extensive career. And I'm just, like I said, having a joy lettering it. It's all coming together incredibly well. It'll be over March, beginning early March, over at fundmycomic.com. We're really looking forward to getting it out and getting it in front of people.
How many pages?
The actual story itself is 69 pages,
Nice.
A comic story, but we're going to have a couple of, we're going to have a forward and a backward. The forward will be by by a Howard historian, where he's talking about how important this work is. And this is a story there's so much about this story that has turned into tropes over the years, because it's literally the first sword and sorcery story. but nobody has really adapted the story completely faithfully. And that's what we're working on doing it here. And in fact, the back part of the book is going to have the actual prose of the story so that you can compare it all you like to the work. And then there'll be a back an end article by myself about Howard and our association with Howard and the and how important this work is to get out to people.
Cool. You want to? Can you show us some of the other pages?
I can. Let me jump over here. There's the black and white. There's the pencil for the cover.
Nice.
That's a one piece. Russ has gone through and used solid, very solid coloring on this. He really wants to give it a feel of a Silver Age sword and sorcery book. There's a lot of
it's got like a very Windsor Smith vibe.
Yeah, he's really enamored by John Buscema and that entire body of work. He just adores it. Really, there's some great stuff.
Yeah, I love the vibe too. I remember back before I could even get comic books because I didn't live around anywhere that could really have them too much. My library had these novellas of like 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, stories like that. And the art style was all done in a very similar style for that. Those are like the first things I started learning to like mimic illustration wise and start learning to draw from.
Well, we were looking at approaching it as like a Prince Valiant type style that was mostly prose, but there's the story flows so good and it works so well in a comic format that it's, like I said, it's really turning out well. I can't tell you how great this book is going to be. Can't wait to see it out. It'll be a nice square bound book. And again, we'll start the campaign on that at the 1st of March over at fundmycomic.com.
All right, cool.
It's the Shadow Kingdom. And we're hoping to do a lot more with the character, using original stories, depending upon how this story picks up. Russ has got a lot of plans, and we've been talking about where to go from that point on in order to continue the story. The character is a very unique and very interesting character. If you know the work, then you know how great the story is and how much fun just the entire idea behind the story is.
Yeah, I can hardly wait. It looks awesome, man.
No, it's gonna be incredible looking.
Real
quick, I'm gonna post this up. This is my campaign is probably gonna launch in the next 2 to 3 weeks. There's the Oswald Chronicles. It broke free and couldn't read, trade paperback. So this is the 4-issue limited series that I released, sometime last year. And like I said, I'm putting it out with the prose story in the back of it. So it's gonna have the comic book and the prose stories, so you can compare the two because they are slightly different. And it's probably gonna be about 140 pages.
There you go.
So there's gonna be some meat on that bone. So there's gonna be a lot of content there. So all right, back to the regular scheduled program. Randy, you are up, sir. What is your question?
Well, we talked about what brought you to Indy Comics, but what inspires you to do your best work in Indy Comics? Is there an inspiration, a work, a piece, an artist that you admire, that if somebody asked you, how am I going to learn as much as I can about this industry, who would you turn them to go take a look at this work? Because I think for me, that work is the epitome of independent and alternative work. Who would you recommend?
All right, cool. Grant, you're actually up, sir.
Oh my goodness! So I don't get any chance to think about this question. Okay, what gets me going? Like I said, I'm really excited about Randy's comic book. Honestly,
thanks, man.
The Conan. I mean, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. The fact that you're still doing the comic book thing, Randy, I find very, very inspiring.
It's in the blood, buddy. Like I said, picked up that book for my first book. Was a funny animal space opera title that I created with Susan Van Camp, who went on to paint a lot of Magic cards. We're going to kick out an omnibus, hopefully as soon as Shadow Kingdom's done, of all of that work. But from there, it just blew out to everything else. And I just love this art form, and I love doing everything in it. So, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't sound
Appreciate
like you're trying to suck up or anything like that, but really, yeah, I really am looking forward to the new Conan comic book. I mean, I'm a huge Conan fan, and Russ's art is always great, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with it.
Well, I got a bucket list of projects that I've been working on. And like I said, aerocomics.store if you want to see some of those. But when Russ asked me if I wanted to do it, it was like, okay, everything else is on hold. I'm doing this. So yeah, it's been a joy.
Cool. Yeah, Randy has a bucket list that of stuff I want to see him do.
There you go. Yeah. More monkey business this year too, as soon as Anniversary is done. Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Looking forward to it.
I swear.
Wells, what inspires you? What would you advise for people to check out?
What indie comics inspire me?
Yes, sir.
Ooh. I get really blown away by a lot of stuff that gets put out there. I think one of my favorite books that came out through Kickstarter since I've started is a book called Side Quest, by Grant Stoy, and I'm blanking on the artist's name. Rassicot. I'm sure that she will correct me in the comments, but yeah, Side Quest is fantastic. It came out through Kickstarter. It is being put out through Scout right now. Go ask your local comic shop for it. It is incredible. It's about a D&D adventure, but in real life, and one of the main characters, and one of the characters lives in our world as well, and has to travel back and forth between the two. And it's a really brilliant dissection of what escapists activities do for and to us, while being a just beautifully written, really entertaining novel. I've got a bunch of, I got a whole stack of comics that I got to read through, and I would love to shout out them all. But yeah, there's too much stuff out there. The works of Kat Calamia and Skylar Patridge, and I love anything that Ram V puts out. The Mini Desilela Stars is one of my favorite books in years. Coffin Bound, I name dropped earlier. That inspired me to really go all in on indie comics. I just think if you tear into it, you can't really go wrong. You're gonna find something in some genre that speaks to you, which is what I find beautiful about indie comics as a community. There's something out here for everyone.
Absolutely.
Cool. Mr. DP, what inspires you, or what do you bring out to people?
Well, I mean, as you were talking about the question, all I was thinking about was that, I'm trying to build my IP is what they will call it, as a retirement thing. I told my wife, this is my retirement, because I don't want to, I have a regular 9-to-5 job, but the inspiration and the motivation to keep on doing this is to hopefully get to a point where I can do something outside, do something with the property outside of, just the comic realm and everything, and actually, hopefully, I can get financially stable enough to write more of what I want to, with that. So I would say the inspiration will be my kids, because I want to try to leave that, leave this to them. So when I'm gone, they can do something with it, and I've got started on it later in life, because I wasn't writing, comics and stuff, in my 20s and 30s and stuff. But I've always been into comics and always wanted to get into that. And like Grant was saying, you know, if I didn't do this at a certain point, I was never going to do it, you know? So I will say those are like my big two inspirations and motivations for what I'm not any like more, you know, quote unquote works, but for what I'm doing right now.
All right, cool. James, what do you advise?
What do I find inspiring?
Yes.
My canned answer used to be stuff like Sam Keith, James O'Barr. Those were the original style artists that kind of brought me out. Later on, Drew Hayes, stuff like that, because Poison Oaks is amazing.
Yeah.
But this story that I'm working on now, the one that we're putting out, it's got a different source of inspiration, which is kind of more personal. My sister is one of my family members who struggles with certain mental health aspects. And when I had kids at first, you know, she wasn't healthy enough to be around them. There was a lot of abuse, a lot of horrible bullshit in our backgrounds that made it so that I wouldn't let any of my family around my kids. Mm-hmm. But my sister worked really, really hard. She worked really, really hard on self-help in a million different ways. She realized she had a chemical imbalance. She went to doctors. She did all these different things. And she confronted a lot of things about her background. And that kind of work was a huge inspiration to me. I don't think I talk about it enough. In the story that we're doing now, basically the character that's based on her is going to have to confront all that nasty crap from her background, and it's going to be more interesting because it's going to have monsters and stuff. But really, like the actual hard work of having to come back from that is huge. I never once saw my parents actually do it, but she did. Mm-hmm. And I find a lot of inspiration in knowing that there are people who struggle with stuff like that they have to go through it, and they find reasons to motivate them and get back all the way up from the bottom of the pit. And it's just, it's impressive. I try to mix that concept with all the interesting art that I love and make sure that that's a part of the books.
She's had to deal with her own personal monsters.
Yeah,
exactly. Conquer them. Yeah, you have to admire people like that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, cool. Marcus, what do you got?
Ooh, this might be a two-pronged one for me, because I know what inspires me a lot, I think as a whole and as a person, is, you know, there's people that some people will say don't meet your heroes. But I've been so fortunate in my life that all of my heroes that I've actually met have been fucking phenomenal people. Like I met Christopher Nolan on the set of Dark Knight, awesome person. Literally bumped into Kevin Smith on the streets of San Diego, amazing person. During the Ringos, you know, I got to meet Mark Waid and Walton Louise Simonson, Brian Michael Bendis, just, you know, all these creators who I've really loved their work over the years, and, you know, inspired me to write comics, and then get to meet them and find out that they're, you know, equally great people on top of great talents. Ron Mars, who's actually the editor, the original editor on Fantasmic. So I'm literally walking in his shoes. Mm-hmm. Those sort of things sort of like reaffirm to me that not only do I have a place here, which is always hard for me, because I hate seeing, like, you know, I come from nothing and things like that, but, you know, really I grew up on the south side of Chicago, Inglewood, you know, didn't have shit. Everything that I have in my entire life I had to fucking fight for and pull it from the teeth, the grips of fucking death, like literally almost sometimes, my very life. So when it comes to something like comics, and like comics flows for me, and it like comes something like, it has a struggle, but it comes a lot easier to me than a lot of other things I've been through in my life. Then it's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be doing this. And that inspires me a lot, because I hope that, you know, no matter what happens in my career with comics, that I can return the favor to the people who have been great to me and have helped me out, you know, pass that forward to the next generation, and be that same sort of person for them. And then in the indie comic space, there's already so many creators that I talk to, or that are out there and doing great work. I think I'll talk with Pat Shand a lot, on Twitter and with Cheeky Comics, and he's doing great stuff. And I'm like, man, I gotta get more books on that level, not funding wise, but the level of quality and professionalism and beauty in the art and presentation and everything. Charlie Stickney at White Ash Comics used to be with Scout. He's a wealth of information and is happy to share it, and he writes damn fine books on top of that too. And even on the smaller, bigger levels, like creators of all sorts, I'm always looking at what everybody's doing. Sometimes I'm on Kickstarter just clicking on campaigns, just probably for like 2 hours straight, not necessarily looking to back anything, but looking at what everyone's doing and just taking pieces. I'll straight up just steal things. It's just like, if this person's doing something, that's a cool idea, I'm going to incorporate that into the next campaign. Tom Hutchison too, a big dog and everything. I always look at what he does and what he's putting out. I'm too faint of heart to do it to the level that he does with a lot of the rewards and things like that. But I always try to incorporate the things that he does in his own little way. Actually, I started doing shorter campaigns because of
Marcus, that's just called doing research.
Yes, doing research. But yeah, everything everybody does, if they're doing any sort of level, and even just creators here, like, when I see people like putting themselves out there, because it's hard and it's really hard, and there's a lot of people in comics who ain't got the stomach for it, who can't come on these shows, who can't find themselves to take the risk. So like, we always have to recognize within ourselves, no matter what we're doing or what successes or failures that might come our way, like, it takes balls to go out there and do it, especially if you get chin checked here and there, to come back and keep doing it. And I think everyone's always stronger for it when they do that, man. So I give it up to Indie Comics as a whole. It's an incredible community to be a part of, and I think it's unlike anything that you're going to find in any other medium in the world. Not in film, not in writing, it's so unique. And every time that I get to go to a con and things like that, that's what I'm looking forward to in that season kicking off, because I always come back from those physically dog fucking tired, but mentally, spiritually, like, re-energized to come back and do some more stuff.
All right, cool. Randy, the question was, what inspires us, or what do we give someone to inspire them?
Who would you say to use as inspiration for this business? For example, and if I might interrupt here, my spiritual mentor has always been Will Eisner. And I would love to have just a scratch of the amount of work and the variety of work that Will did during his lifetime. Everything from creating superhero characters like the Ray and Black Condor and Sheena and the Spirit Seahawks, to doing the Spirit for as long as he did, doing slice of life graphic novels, adapting classic literature, turning comics into an education medium, and making a huge industry out of that. The PS magazine that he did for the Army is still, I think, coming out today, and still reprinting some of his work on teaching Army privates how to do different sorts of maintenance and that through comic book form. And most of all, sitting there and writing all of these textbooks about the nuts and bones of this industry and the art form itself, comics and sequential art, graphic storytelling. I always tell folks to take a look at Eisner and what he did. They named an award after him for a reason,
and that's on that list of stuff I gave that girl, dude.
And that's everything. Yeah, I hear you.
It's funny. It's funny because one of the guys that I mentioned his name earlier, Archie Goodwin. I went to him to get an autograph on my Manhunter reprint. Right?
There you go. Yeah.
So I was a kid. I must have been 13, maybe 12. And I never thought Archie would be an inspiration to me. I liked the story, but it wasn't until I met him that it was like, oh, wow, this guy is incredible, because I got to stand next to him, and he let me stand next to him while he was doing portfolio reviews, and I learned more in that 30 minutes, the 2 times I did it, than I think in years of, just studying comics. because just to watch the master go over stuff, to my young eyes, stuff that looked incredible, he was just ripping it apart. He was just like, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this way you need to work on this, and this, and it was just so innate, and he was very nice about it. It wasn't like he was sitting there just like saying give it up, kid. No, he was giving him actual critiques. The other person was Walter Simonson, who again I also met when I was a very young kid. Sweet man. At the time I must have been 3 feet tall, and he looked like he was 9 foot. And then when
he still looks
again,
like he's 9 feet. By the way, I'm fully grown now. He's still really fucking small.
I met him later in life. I didn't feel. I was like, oh, you're not as big as I remember, but but it was just really funny. But Walter was great. And it's just the bevy of books that I grew up with. You know what I mean? Is just like I don't know, The Realm, Captain Paragon. All these crazy books, The Elementals. Bill Willingham was also a huge inspiration for me. He's one of those guys that I followed for a long time. I met him also when I was very, very young. When I met him, I think I was about 14, and it was at a convention in Manhattan. It was somewhere on the West Side, and he looked like he looked like Neil Gaiman 10 years before Neil Gaiman looked like Neil Gaiman. Right. So this was when Neil was wearing the glass. He would always wear the dark shades, and he would wear the leather jacket. And that was Bill. That was Bill's look. And he was young. You see Bill now, he's an older gentleman, but you saw him back then. He was like this young, skinny dude. And he was mad cool. He signed my books. He didn't say much, but he signed my books, and and that was pretty much the only interaction I was looking for. But I've always enjoyed Bill's work. And every other time I've met him, he's always been a gentleman. He's always been a good guy. So I think those are the people that for me is, and like I said, it's just the work, that I've seen and just, hopefully absorbed enough, from some of these people. And I would just say, listen, guys, there are a lot of indie comics out there, and there's a lot of stuff that's forgotten, because I have the Midtown Comics outlet not too far from me, and sometimes I have a 50% off sale on their $1 bins, so it'll be 50-cent books. And you go in there, and there's just tons and tons of books. And I just tell everybody, go look for some of those older 80s, 90s indie comics. You'll find stuff like Zooniverse and Sunrunners and The Realm and all these other crazy books. And you'll find Silver Streak, and you'll find Captain Victory's in there, and you'll find these books. And you'll be amazed at how good some of these books are. I mean, really, really good books. Yeah. And that's not to say, also buy the books that are coming out currently, especially from the people here. So, gentlemen, we've made it to the second hour, so thank you so much. But first, Mr. DP Brown, please let us know where we can find you and your work.
At comicsburg.com. Make sure that you go to our favorite website and get all your Comicsburg stuff, Theme of Thieves, Beowulf, Cryptid, that's coming out. Also, The Edge and everything. And also, you can also follow me, of course, at Dog Pound Brahma all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So make sure that you're checking me out.
All right, cool. Now, hold on. I just want
Kickstarter.
Yes, back as Kickstarter. Just to answer Michael here, he says, I'm glad no one had a Neil Adams review experience. I heard he was, shall we say, tough to scare off people who were not serious. I was never a witness to one of his reviews. But
I stood next to him one time and saw him tear apart a guy's portfolio, driving straight into tears.
Yeah. Now, I was witness to the aftermath of the person who got the review. So yeah, he was notoriously tough on artists. I mean, notoriously tough.
That's how you grew a thick skin back then. You took your portfolio to Neil and asked him for a critique.
Yep. And I mean, listen, you can say what you will about him. What is it? Frank Miller said he went at him for 6 months before Neil got him a job, and he kept telling Frank, go back home, go sell pizza, go do something else, go become a plumber. But Frank kept at it, and that's what you got to do, especially with a guy like that. Anyway, James, where can we find you and your work, sir?
You're
unmute yourself, James.
I'm glad I'm not the
There
only
you
one who does that.
I was coughing. My apologies. Let's see here. I can be found at James Burton II on Instagram. My website, angrybrainartworks.com, and I can be found with scatteredcomics.com.
All right, cool. Mr.
And
Grant.
go check out Damage Inc. on Kickstarter.
Yes. Grant, where can we find you and your work, sir?
I want to emphasize what DP said about comicsburg.com.
Mhm.
Other than that, on social media, I'm Grant Lankard. It's spelled just like how it sounds. I'll put it in the chat. It's a pretty distinct name. You'll find it on Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter, but I don't really go on Twitter anymore. So,
All right, cool. Wells, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Easiest place is my name, wellsthompson.com. I have links to everything there. I also have a newsletter, Comics, Cats, and Cocktails, where we talk about all those things. Again, links in the website. But almost all my work comes out through Kickstarter, so follow me on there. Keep an eye out on what's going on. And, of course, if you enjoy the book, please pledge.
All right, cool. Randy?
You can find my recent stuff over at arrowcomics.store. Go over there and check that out. I do 2 shows on the Indy Comics Network, Friday morning, Comics by Night at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, and then Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m. On Sundays Eastern Time, where we talk about great comics by some of the great masters, a lot of whom have been forgotten or whose names you hardly ever hear from anymore. Other than that, you want to reach me directly, you can get to me through Facebook. Don't try to get to me through X or Twitter. I do have an account up there, but I never go because it's such a bastion of trolling and hate. And so,
nice. Marcus?
Be sure to check us out at odysseycomics.com. We're going to have a couple of big new announcements coming out in the next couple of weeks. And of course, check us out at the Kickstarter campaign for Fantasmic #1. Closing out in one more day here. And I am active on Twitter. Unfortunately, it's where most of our audience seems to be at these days.
I feel your pain, Marcus. I feel your pain.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm JD Calderon. I can be found here just about every Sunday. Next week, Mr. JD Rosario will be gracing us with his presence once again. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about it. So, we got to go back to baby brain talk. But you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and all these different places under JD Calderon, and especially the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com, and pretty soon back on Kickstarter once again. And remember, everyone, in the show notes, everybody's links are in the show notes. So you can click on those links, buy these books. All these creators are putting out awesome books. They all deserve your support. They're putting out great books. Go check them out. Go buy more indie comics, especially ours. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Adios. Read more comics, everybody.